Hey, hi, hello, welcome or welcome back to my channel. My name is Jess, and I'm here today to tell you to pick better books, okay? Let's stop reading these little cutesy novels, these little popcorn reads. You need to pick up something that's challenging, maybe mind-boggling, invigorating, stimulating. Okay, y'all should be used to me with the jump scares by now, but I wanted to talk about this because I saw this mentioned on TikTok. Sorry, it's gonna get me every time.
Now, I obviously recorded this before the government and showed you, played in our face, and used that emotional manipulation. So currently TikTok is back up as I'm editing this on Monday, January the 20th. So I will be linking these videos down below. But who knows? Maybe it'll disappear again because they just like to take things right from under us. You know, democracy and stuff.
So there is a person, this is very recent, who is an English teacher, and she made a post and then she made a follow-up one. And the first one was saying that people need to be reading, essentially reading better books, and that there's a difference between a book and a piece of literature. And she alluded to things like, you know, I will too pick up something quick, a popcorn read. I think she had a Frida McFadden book as an example, and think, oh, I just want this simple thing, and I end up usually DNFing them. But then when I pick up something more challenging, a piece of literature, that is when I get my most enjoyable reads. It's like when I think I want candy, but instead I really wanted vegetables. That's what she said, right? So anyway, she makes the distinction between things that are just a book and a piece of actual literature, something that is challenging, thought-provoking, and, you know, basically like a popcorn read. She does say that she thinks people should read whatever they want. I think also her lens that she is talking through is as a teacher to students who she wants to like challenge their reading and not just give them super easy things to read. But people took this very much. They did not like that. She does say that she thinks people get tripped up on her and anyone who says it, meaning that when they say a work of serious literature, they mean classics by dead white guys, dead white people, but that's not what she meant. And essentially she said, we don't need to pretend that all books are on par with each other, that an author like Frida McFadden would agree that her book is not on par with another book that she held up in the video as an example was, I think, Love in the Time of Cholera by Gabriel Garcia Marquez. And I mean, I would think that Frida would agree, but anyway. So this created a lot of stitches, and people took from it that she meant that you need to read the classics, you need to read things of substance, you need to be reading real literature and not just crap. And then she made a follow-up video. So she did make corrections to some of the language that she used in her initial video because someone commented, she replied to that comment, and she was saying like, I do think this language that I used about like a book versus real literature and some other things she said was kind of like problematic in the way that she said it. So then she went on to clarify that she still does think it is worthwhile to not always just read very simple, maybe formulaic, fun, popcorn, soapy, whatever you want to call it, things, and sometimes challenge yourself to read things outside of your comfort zone. Again, she's an English teacher, so that's why she says she cares about what people are reading, and that she encourages people to seek out books that are more complex, have more nuance, that are going to make you think, really make you question, and kind of have to, I don't know what the word is, but like, really invest in the work. Like, it's not just you read it, yay, goodbye. It's something that like maybe you pause and you have to take notes, you have to think about it, you're analyzing, that she thinks is worthwhile that more people read more of those types of stories. So I'll link the videos if you want to watch them. They're on TikTok, obviously. But so this made me think, and I forgot my notes. Let me go get those. So I think it's interesting coming from her perspective as an English teacher. I'm obviously not a teacher of anything. I do think back to when I was a student. I can't remember who I was talking to about this, if it was on a sprint or something, but just thinking back to myself as a student in middle school and high school, and reading things that I did not want to read, but we had discussions about it. In like 7th grade, I think we used to have, it was like a circle, like we had a book that we had to read, and then we would have what our teacher called literary feast. So everybody brought something. So we were eating, we put all our desks in a circle, and then we discussed the book. I also, when I took AP Lit, we did kind of a similar thing. And there were a lot of books that I did not enjoy, or some I did not read, let's be honest, because I used the Spark Notes. But there were books that I would not have picked up for myself that I ended up really enjoying. And then of course, you know, there's all these discussions, but it also does it leads to critical thinking and just like seeing more beyond than just what's written on the page, right? So I think that's interesting, her perspective. Some of the critiques or pushback where we're kind of in this literacy crisis, at least we're speaking here in the United States. A lot of kids can't read, or they're reading below their reading level, or they don't like reading at all. And so they're like, what's the point? Shouldn't we just be focused on them reading? Like, let them read whatever they want, whether that is Courage the Cowardly Dog or whatever else. I don't know. I'm not a youth. I'm not in those spaces to know what schools are telling them to read. She does talk about the problem in different school systems where we're having book banning, having issues with literacy, some teachers being very much like, we need to stick to canon and you need to read classic, some saying read what you want, some being a mixture of that. So again, I'm not an educator, I can't speak to that. But I do wonder I think there's two different questions I have. My question is to you, is it important as an adult, right? As an adult who's already, especially if your frontal lobe is formed, but even if you're an adult at 20 years old, you're out of class, you're not taking courses anymore, so you're not forced to read anything. I think it's great when people just choose to read, but do you think it's important as an adult who isn't like writing an essay, isn't having any kind of discussion, to read things that will challenge you? Do you think that's important? Or is it just enough to be reading if you read 450 alien romances, or all you read is manga, and I'm not trying to say that these things are inherently not complex, because they can be. I'm just saying, I think the types of book that she's referring to that are the complex ones usually would not fall into that category. So that is one of my questions, is as an adult where it's not your job, you're not teaching, you're not in any kind of course, is it important to diversify your reading in that way? I know we talk about diversifying our reading in other ways, making sure that we read from authors from all different backgrounds, whether that's race, ethnicity, sexuality, any marginalization. But do you think it's important to diversify and read complex things, fiction, nonfiction? I'm truly asking that question. My other question is this, and again, for me not being an educator, I don't know, but is it important to developing critical thinking for youths to be reading more complex works in order to develop those critical thinking skills? Because I think if you are online, as I am, we have noticed a definite decline and people say media literacy, reading comprehension, critical thinking, like all of those things. There is a steep decline, and usually that is coming from younger people. I don't know if that has a direct correlation with what's going on in schools, and this does not boil down to something easy, because our education system, our public education system here in America is a goddamn mess. What isn't a mess in America? And that's not the question for right now, but can you become a critical thinker without reading complex, challenging books that are outside of your comfort zone, that push you, that make you question things, that make you really analyze, and you have to interpret and do those sorts of things? So those are my two questions. Like, is it important as an adult, and also as a youth who's still learning? Which, with my non-educational, non-parental background of who I am in my 30s, I have no children, and I've never been a teacher. But I do feel like it seems like it would be important as a young person to be challenged in your reading, and then also in the classroom. So not just you read this difficult book and then that's it, and maybe here's a test. I think it's very important, the discussion aspect, because I really struggle with that in school sometimes, being like, I mean, I don't know what he meant. This is what I thought. Also, the beauty of at least the classes when I was taking it was like, if you could back it up, then that's fine. Like if you interpreted this and you can explain why, then that's, you know, that's great. But again, that's I think developing a thinking muscle. But I think the complex reading without like the discussion and the teacher helping you process through those thoughts, I think one without the other isn't helpful. But I know more people were receptive under her second video when she made some clarifications and walked back on some of the language that she used. But I still think there's people who are very angry and making it. She did say this is going to sound elitist, and some people were like, yes, this is very elitist. So I just wanted to bring that here to see what your opinions was, because I have mixed opinions. My last question, I thought of this when I was doing another video, and I don't know if it's worth discussing on its own. Maybe it is. My last question would be one I like kind of just ask myself because I know I'm not going to get an answer from publishing. But we know there's a lot of issues with publishing, and my question is, do we think publishing cares about publishing good books? Obviously, that is subjective. Granted, she did say in one of her videos that she thinks, when she was referring to like something that has literary merit versus just a book, that it is definitely more objective than we think. So, do you think that publishing really cares about putting out quality books? I'm gonna tell you my answer. I think it's no. But that made me think of this when I was watching her videos. So I think this is one of the things that if you watch the video and listen to what she's saying, it could be a very good discussion to be had. And again, on the second video, there were better or more receptive comments and less just like attacks. I don't know if I agree with everything that she says. And again, I still have questions that I pose to you, but I think it's an interesting topic and I would love to know your thoughts. So please tell me, please keep it cute and respectful, okay? Because this is not supposed to get ugly. But we do all love to read, right? And a thing with like the rise of book talk has brought or made a lot of people either start reading again or just start reading in general. And that's amazing, because I think reading, whether you are just reading a campy little paranormal romance or you're reading the history of the Russian czars or something, I think there's still something you can learn from all of that. Vocabulary, history, perspectives of people who are different than you. So I think overall, just reading is incredible if people are reading. But I think it's a worthy discussion on, is it or isn't it important to diversify your reading in this way, in levels of complexity in the stories? Yeah, that's my thoughts. And then of course with the students. So if you're a teacher, I would especially love to hear your thoughts on developing like critical thinking and reading comprehension and stuff like that, and whether that matters with what kind of books students read. Okay, I think that was enough. So not super long, but I just was like, like I saw a video about it and then I went to it and I just had a different reaction than I thought I would. I thought the person was just gonna be like, if you don't read classics, you're an idiot, which there are plenty of people with those takes. But I don't know, this is the internet, so it's very hard to have nuanced discussions, but I feel like this one has enough room in it that you can, if you want to, and have the patience and you actually listen. Okay. Anyway, thank you for watching. Stay blessed, hydrated, moisturized, and sunscreen. I'll see you in my next one. Bye.